Jon Hamm just revealed in an interview that he has pitched himself to Marvel Studios for a couple of roles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And according to him, the meeting basically ended with Marvel Studios confirming that they are going to be doing a specific storyline, and Jon Hamm said, "Good, I should be the guy." And a lot of people think that he should be the guy to play Mr. Sinister. Now, most people know Jon Hamm from Mad Men, a great show, and Jon Hamm is incredible. And it's revealed in this interview with The Hollywood Reporter that was released yesterday that he has wanted to be a part of the MCU for a very long time. And according to Jon Hamm himself, he revealed in this interview that he keeps in constant contact with Marvel and DC. In fact, he states that he has passed already on several superhero roles. It looks like he is trying to save himself for that one perfect role in a superhero franchise, and it sounds like, based off of what he says, which we'll go over, it sounds like he has found that role at Marvel Studios. And a lot of people right now are thinking that it could be Mr. Sinister. And honestly, yeah, he'd make a great Mr. Sinister. He just kind of has the build and the look for it. And this is actually really big news for the MCU and for the X-Men as far as the future is concerned if he is going to go on to play Mr. Sinister. We'll dive into that in just a bit, but first let's talk about exactly what he said in the interview. When speaking about parts that Jon Hamm has passed on in the past, The Hollywood Reporter said, "The parts you passed on, some of that was superhero fare, correct?" In which Jon Hamm said, "Yeah, it's not like they were saying, we want you to be Iron Man, but there were a lot of conversations and I'm still in those." So he specifically mentions a Marvel character here and says that he is still in the conversation to play certain characters. So we are assuming that when he says this line, I'm still in those conversations to play a superhero role, that he is specifically talking about Marvel here. And he does in fact go on to clarify he has talked to Marvel, continues to talk to Marvel, and has found his role that he wants to play. But he continues and says, "I talked to the guys that run Marvel and DC, and I'm a comic book nerd, so we'll see. Even that part of the industry is changing." But then they go on to say, "You passed on Green Lantern, did you not?" And he said, "That was one I definitely didn't want to do." Good call because, well, it didn't really work out that well for Ryan Reynolds. However, he has clearly more than bounced back, as Deadpool and Wolverine, I believe, is about to be one of the biggest superhero movies of all time. And I think a lot of people would agree. But it seems like Jon definitely dodged a bullet there. But he continues to state, "But I've pitched myself for a couple of parts of the Marvel universe." So like I said, right there, he confirms it. He currently still talks to Marvel Studios. He is currently still in the conversation to play a superhero role. He's a comic book fan and has a specific character in mind, or a couple of characters as he says, and he has now pitched that to Marvel Studios. But of course he continues to say, "I don't want to say what exactly, but it was a part of a comic book that I really liked." And this next part is incredibly interesting, but to back it up just real quick, the fact that he is saying that he doesn't want to say exactly what he pitched for means that they are having pretty serious conversations about it. Because if you think about people like Giancarlo Esposito, he was publicly stating, "Yes, I want to play Professor Xavier in the MCU." And of course he would address the things about Magneto. But once when he was officially cast in the MCU, he only said, "I'm playing a character." Because when things get serious, obviously due to NDAs and the sniper pointed at your head at all times via Kevin Feige, you can't say anything. But Giancarlo Esposito was talking about Professor X, Magneto. He was talking about these when nothing was actually going on. He wasn't speaking to Marvel about them. But the second he started to speak to Marvel about an actual role that he was going to play, then it kind of went silent. And obviously Marvel Studios gave him permission to announce that he was going to be a part of the MCU. So the fact that Jon doesn't want to really say exactly what he pitched or the characters that he likes or the story that he wants to happen in the MCU means that he's in serious talks. And heck, he could have actually already been cast for a role, but they're saving the reveal for like San Diego Comic-Con or D23. So he has to say, officially he has not been cast and he's just talking with them right now. In fact, that could be their plan to build hype. Hey, I'm talking to The Hollywood Reporter. Can I mention anything about what I'm about to do with Marvel Studios? And they say, "Hey, just say you've talked to us. Don't say anything official, and we'll reveal it officially at San Diego Comic-Con or D23. That could be what has happened, but of course we'll have to wait and see. But here's the really interesting part. He says, "I was like, are you going to do this story?" And they were like, "Yeah, we're actually thinking of that." I go, "Good. I should be the guy." So maybe it'll work out. So again, people are thinking Mr. Sinister, and I think he would make a great Mr. Sinister, but I also would really love him as Doom. Not sure how the general population feels about this, but I think he would do an incredible job. And if you don't really have a taste for his acting chops, watch Mad Men, and you'll see that he can play pretty diverse roles, but most importantly, he can play a man of power. And I think that would go great for the character Doctor Doom. And I think it's about the future right now, because everything is pretty much laid out for the MCU, not in its entirety. Obviously, we don't have the completion of Phase 6 yet, but we basically know what happens from now until Avengers Secret Wars. And more importantly, Marvel knows what's going to happen between now and Secret Wars. So everything that they're going to do, they have pretty much locked in already. So when Jon Hamm says, "Are you doing the story?" and Marvel says, "Yeah, we're actually thinking of that," they are most likely referring to what is going to happen after Secret Wars, which is going to involve the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and Doom. And if I'm Jon Hamm and I have the career that I have and the demeanor and the acting range that I have, I'm pitching Doom, I'm pitching Mr. Sinister. These are two iconic characters in two iconic franchises, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. And we know that these two branches of Marvel are going to be the prime focus of the next saga. The Mutant Saga, the Fantastic Four Saga, Galactus Saga, whatever you want to call it, it's going to center around the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. But here's why a lot of people think Mr. Sinister. One, like I said, he does have the build, he has the look for it, but two, we do know that Marvel Studios is working on an X-Men movie right now. Now, currently there is a lot of mystery surrounding this movie. We're not sure if it's going to be a movie that takes place before Avengers Secret Wars, and it'll involve the old Fox X-Men in that universe where Monica Rambeau went after the Marvels, or it could be after Secret Wars. They're already starting to plan for their X-Men film, which does make sense. Kevin Feige has even stated at one point in time, if you look at everything that they have revealed as far as their phases and slates, they have about 5+ years planned on top of what they have already revealed. So they've already revealed Avengers Secret Wars, which means they know what they're going to do after Avengers Secret Wars. So they could very well have already started on their X-Men film. However, we do believe an X-Men film is going to come before Avengers Secret Wars that is going to be about those Fox X-Men characters. Then of course we'll have the reboot and then get our official new X-Men in the MCU. And that is the story I believe that they are talking about doing here. In fact, we've heard several reports from insiders that Marvel Studios is considering making Mr. Sinister the first big bad of the X-Men. And this report lines up with Marvel Studios saying that, yeah, they're actually thinking about doing that story. They're actually thinking about doing Mr. Sinister. So he could definitely be up for that role, but at the same time, we've heard a lot about Doctor Doom. We've heard he's going to be introduced in the Fantastic Four film, and we've heard that he's going to play somewhat of a role in the Multiverse Saga, but specifically we have heard that they're going to build him up like Loki. And of course, this will start a little bit in the Multiverse Saga, but will really start to happen after. They'll build him up to be a huge villain and possibly a hero at some point in time as well. Because remember, Doctor Doom isn't necessarily all bad. There are times where he fights alongside the heroes. And again, I think Jon Hamm would make a great Doctor Doom. And if you're looking for a big actor to play this huge role in one of the biggest franchises in the world, I think Jon Hamm would be a great guy for the job. And maybe Marvel Studios thinks so as well, and we'll be seeing an announcement relatively soon that Jon Hamm has officially joined the MCU in some amazing role. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But go ahead, let me know what you think about this news in the comments down below, and let me know, would you like him to play Mr. Sinister, Doctor Doom, or do you have another role in mind that he could play? Tell us what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on the MCU. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.